Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. The R-Rated Podcast. This week's guest is... Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. Today's guest is Alex Adams. Yay! Hi. So, Alex, my first question, where are you from?
Where am I from? I'm from Orange County, California.
Nice.
Technically, the city of Santa Ana, which, in LA you say that.
Right,
for recognition because everyone knows the five.
Right.
And then, but I was on the border of Santa Ana and this town called Westminster.
Okay.
Which is a little more remote. And Fountain Valley. And they're basically I don't know. Westminster's really, it's known for being little Saigon. It's got a 70-75% Vietnamese American population.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Good food though.
Yeah, no, yeah. Amazing food.
Yeah.
And but growing up, it was always kind of weird because it was there's a majority population that I'm surrounded by.
Yeah.
But I'm also minority. So it's by being a minority.
What are you actually? What is your ethnicity?
I can't believe we've never talked about
actually,
this.
now that I think about it, I've never asked you.
No, it's something I forget all the time.
Also, let's backtrack it.
Yeah.
We're coworkers.
We're coworkers,
but I'm also, not anymore.
Not
okay.
But maybe in the future.
Exactly. We met at work.
Yeah.
And we literally have, we've known each other for 6 months now, working early morning on set, working late night, in the office, doing runs, all kinds of shit. But anyway, we'll get to how we got there.
Yeah.
What's your ethnicity?
So I'm biracial. I'm mixed.
Love it.
Black and white. My mom's half.
Are you really?
Yeah. See that? No, people don't know. See, I forget that.
I had no idea.
I forget that people don't know because up until
I'm not gonna lie, I thought you were a little bit Middle Eastern because of the thick beard.
Yes, there's a lot.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm just gonna say
it.
We were all thinking it. You were thinking
yeah, you were thinking. You're what is that?
They're zoom in on this man right now. Let me see him.
No. So yeah. Basically, a majority of my life.
Yeah.
I've had an afro.
Yeah.
That's just been my hair, and I've had believe it or not, a full hairline. And it would grow out very tight, springy curls.
Yeah.
You know? And so it wouldn't be much of a question when people saw me.
Right.
But then when my hair started retreating or whatever the process.
I'm I heard nothing.
And I just started shaving all the way down.
Yeah.
And then again there was this weird transition of cute kid in to halfway through college with just the afro, clean shaven. And then
wait, I need to see these photos. I'm send me these photos so I can just add
I know
them.
it doesn't make for good podcast material, but
I want to see it. Yeah, let's show the camera.
So this was taken in 2016.
No way.
Yeah. You guys.
Whoa.
A quick
no, this is a great photo.
Yeah.
All angles.
I legit showed this to my roommate.
If I honestly wouldn't have recognized you.
No. Yeah, I showed it to, I graduated college 2016, the year that was taken.
Yeah.
And then the next year I was rooming with I was sharing a house with
you look
5
like
people.
someone I know. I know,
No,
exactly.
I
do, but you look familiar, someone from back home.
But basically I showed it to a roommate and she was like, what happened? And I was like,
what? Oh. No, she did not say. No, it's okay.
She couldn't help it. That's how drastic.
No, but that's not what I my reaction was not in that terms. I just I thought you were joking when you said afro. I just wasn't.
No, legit.
I was like, wait, really?
And even here, it's my hairline. Anyway, but yeah. So I'm used to not explaining it to people.
Yeah, as you shouldn't even have to explain it, but
people are naturally curious.
Right.
I've done it to people.
Well, I think it's fun too to be multi racial and biracial. Really I think it's fun.
It's you get a uniqueness to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen the Spider-Verse Miles Morales?
Yeah.
Basically, that was me in my teenage years.
Spider-Man?
Like,
no, just kidding.
I was Spider-Man. I lived in New York. Yeah.
No, but that's cool. That's really cool. I love that. So at what age did you like, did you have like an interest in like the film industry, or like what, where was that spark?
Well, that's like an interesting question, because like I've watched like other episodes that you've done with people, and it's like it always seems to be like everyone seems to say like
I knew from
like I knew when I was a kid. Like in your last episode, you're like I knew I wanted to be like I thought I was an actress, but not really.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just because like so like that's what's fascinating about the question is like people who love storytelling get like just totally engrossed in it,
right? And
then end up in the industry can backtrack and say like,
which has happened too. And I've had people on the podcast that literally have said like, I went in for this, but then like I was like, this is not it, and I went into something completely different. Yeah, which happened to me like twice. Like first it was acting, then I thought it was cinematography, and then I ended up doing directing. So it totally happens. Like I feel like you have to do it and like really like feel out the position and be on like a set to really know if you like it or not. Because like just like learning about it and just like sitting there and talking about it is so different than actually like doing it and like working that position.
It is, and that pertains to screenwriting too. I'll get to that in a second.
But yeah, tell me. Okay, so
I don't even remember where we're leaving off.
So, well, what sparked that initial interest? Like, at what age? Like, where? Like, what was it? And what? Yeah, what do you want to do in the film industry? Or what are you doing?
Well, what I want to be doing, what I am doing are always a little different. But when I was younger, like you just kind of watch film, you get like engrossed in it, and then I think I didn't really. Basically, like this is gonna sound so weird, and you can edit this out if it's like
I'm not gonna edit out of it.
Okay. With it. But basically, because going back to like what I was saying, like the school I went to was like it was like the top public school in Orange County, which was still like ranked at like top 15 in the whole county because it's like private school. Yeah. But basically, I was just in a situation where like half of my class was by my senior year like all AP students. They were all getting college credits from like their junior,
Jesus, okay, year. Thank goodness I didn't go there.
And like there was just like so growing up there was just like this weird pressure, like even though I was
of course, how's there not pressure? Like I went to a public school and like it was a blue ribbon public school, so like it was a good one. Like I don't know. And like all these like kids my age were like literally getting into all these prestige schools, and I was just like getting like super high SAT scores, and I'm like, yeah. Do
you want to talk about SAT scores on
not really, but I'm just saying, no, I don't.
It's like I throw mine out and it's like way low.
No, I didn't even take mine. I was so intimidated.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh my God. See, that pressure at that age.
No, that's why that's why I was like, yeah, I totally get what you're talking about. Yeah. Like that pressure of like not feeling like you're, up to par to your like classmates, which sucks. And it shouldn't be like that because
it shouldn't be. But basically, wow, there's so many like angles to approach this from because it's all nuanced. But basically, I was like a creative kid. Like when I was in elementary school, I was doing art. Yeah. And like my different teachers would give me praise for it. When I was, and then like I transitioned into doing band. I was like a musician. Like I don't usually call kids who are just playing in band a musician, but like me and a handful of others like actively like it was our lifestyle.
Oh wait, that's sick.
Like every day outside of school we were practicing.
What did you play?
I played trumpet. Yeah.
Whoa, wait, do you still know how to play?
I have the muscle memory, but like the muscle buildup, the embouchure as it's called, is totally shot.
Wait, it's so cool. I did not know that.
That's awesome. I know. It's great to know I didn't realize the podcast brings out
No, it does. And that's what I love about podcasting too. It's like not only do you hear about people's personal experience, but you get to know them and like really like understand like their background and stuff, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. But so I was always creative. Like, I was like the president of I tried starting my school's jazz club, and it like,
did it work?
It lasted for like 3 months because like I knew stuff, but I was like terrible at teaching people, and people were like, "What?"
Well, not anymore. Now he's training everyone at our work right now. So. Now you can look back and be like, wow.
Yeah, wow. It was in me all along.
Yeah, right.
A trainer, teacher, person, whatever. But no, so I was like creative in that sense.
Yeah.
And then
that's super creative. Yeah.
And then that was like more like what me and my group of friends were like gearing towards. Mm-hmm. And then, this is actually really sad, but like basically I told my mom that I wanted to do like music when she asked me like my junior year of high school, like what do you want to do? And then she kind of like in that conversation, she just like had this like little bit of silence. And she's like, I think you can do something better. And I was like,
and you don't want to hear that from like your parents.
Yeah, and it makes sense too, because like they don't know about like the ins and outs of it. They don't know like the uncertainty. They just want their kid to have a stable, successful.
Which I get, but it's also like sometimes you have to be able to take those risks to like you know, like sometimes I'm like it's definitely scary, but I feel like, do you want everything to always be like comfortable?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. That's a question I've had to ask myself multiple times.
Yeah, no, I have had to too, because I'm like, being comfortable is easier. You know what I mean? Just like knowing your like routine and stuff like that. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I prefer that. You know,
we are touching on like so many little, you know, talking to me.
Like, my brain's like bouncing like,
bah. We talk at work all the time about like our conversations go a million different directions. I think that's mainly me just.
No, me too. I'm just like, this can go into here.
And but like there's so many good points that like we can pick up on. Later. Basically, like I had this conversation with my mom where it was like very clear that like she would be a little disappointed if that's what I pursued. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we'd never really discussed like anything else. So when I just knew that like I was always going to go to college.
Right.
I just like.
So this is like, you're like 17 maybe?
I'm like 16, 17. Okay. And I know I always plan on going to college. Mm-hmm. It's what like is expected of me.
Right. Me too. It was always like,
And so then like I saw that like, you know, my mom wasn't certain about it. I was like, oh, I could still play whenever.
Yeah.
So I kind of gave up on it. And then I was like undeclared for my first 2 years at college, which there's a little break in there because of stuff like that. Basically, I went into my freshman year at the school and I was fine grade-wise, but like just the environment that the school kind of had, I kind of hated it a little bit.
I get that.
And so that summer, I told my mom, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm doing fine in school, but like it's like a very stressful environment, just even socially. Yeah. And I think I want to quit. I think I want to drop out and just take time to figure out what I want to do.
Yeah. And how did she take that?
Basically, she took it okay. She like was disappointed and like agitated in tone. Yeah. And then later that night, this is so sad. I literally like heard my mom like crying in her bed, like.
No.
Yeah, and it was so sad.
So,
yeah, it's a little like weird, you know, to talk about.
But like,
yeah,
I see both sides though. It's like, okay, like obviously as a parent, you have certain goals and dreams and aspirations for your child. Like you want them to like, you know, do better or like have a better education than you did or whatever the situation is. But like, your dream as a parent is not always going to be your kid's dream. And I feel like that's like something that like the newer generation with their kids right now are like probably more like more okay with and more like it's out there, but like the older generation, like our parents and stuff like that, like I don't know, I feel like they see things very like, you know, like you got to just be able to like support yourself and like do this, be a good person, blah blah blah. But like,
and it's not like you can't.
And then we're like, I want to make movies, and they're like, what?
I want to be in front of the.
They're just camera. Like, learn how to pay your rent. Like, no. So that's probably like what it is.
That's exactly what it is. And then, but it was like this weird, because my brother also had tried college, and then it also didn't work out for him, and he's older. Yeah. So I think it was just this weird like accidental punch to the gut where my mom was just like, what's happening?
What's happening?
So basically like the next day we had a conversation and I told her like, okay, I'll go back to school, but I want to pursue like something that interests me.
Right. Because that makes school easier too, and more interesting. And you are
ridiculously so.
And it's like you're down to learn. You know what I mean? And the work doesn't seem as hard because you love it. You're like, I don't mind doing this.
Like I literally in the conversation, I was like, I would rather go to school and try to do this film thing, which had that's kind of where my interest was circling freshman year, but again, I didn't want to commit to it.
Right.
I'd rather go back to school, graduate in like 3 years, and try this film thing and like fail spectacularly at it.
And at least you tried though.
And have actually tried than to like just wander into something,
live a life,
or like
right,
boring.
and always wonder like what would have been like if I tried. I had that same thought. Like I literally was like, because like growing up, you know, in Austria, it was like a really small place. Like I grew up in a small town.
Yeah.
And, you know, I grew up next to like farms and stuff like that. So it's like all my classmates were like, their dream, no joke, I swear, it was like being a hairdresser, working at like as an accountant, which is all really cool stuff. But like mine was always like, I want to be an actress. I want to be making movies. So like whenever I would tell them, they would look at me like I was nuts. Like they're just like,
do you know where we are?
Yeah, they're like, do you know how far Hollywood is? And I'm just like, yeah, but like it never seemed like that far, even though it was far. Like it was a whole country away, like across the world. But I was like, no, like it's doable. You know what I mean?
No, that's so funny to me because it's like the inverse, where I was just like a 30-minute drive away.
No, but still, it's like it's intimidating because you also hear like, you know, it's a hard industry to get into. Like it's not easy. Like you're gonna struggle. Like, and that's like discouraging. You know what I mean? Like you're not like how does it not discourage you? But like I feel like if you are passionate about something, you can definitely like get it done. And it's not gonna always be easy. You're gonna have days where you're gonna cry.
Legitimately, you're like a shining example of that to me, at least. No,
thank you.
No, like okay, like for context, like we work at like a COVID like testing company, like sanitation, all this.
For TV and film.
I don't know. Do you like name it on the podcast? Or you?
Like, I feel like we could. I feel like it would be like a shout out to them.
Shout out to SaniSet.
Yeah, we work for SaniSet. It's a COVID testing company for TV and film productions, and we both are assistants. As in, we help like check in people, order tests, and make sure they look good, and you know.
Yeah, it's like we quality check
it, deliver like verify. Yeah, if it's positive or negative, we result that, and we
do. It's like a really weirdly like miscellaneous like job that we're at, like our position specifically. But,
exactly.
We do. We're people of many hats.
Exactly.
I started working there in like August 2021.
Yeah.
After like technically only like 7 months of not working, but it was effectively like a year.
Right.
A year.
I mean, I think we were all there because of COVID.
Yeah. Like I did like 1 or 2 like weekend gigs where I was like a production coordinator.
Okay.
But we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
But basically, like I started this job because A, I needed money. B, I was very burnt out in the film industry. It was starting to affect me a little bit.
Yeah.
And like the whole duration of like the pandemic, where like things were less open.
Right. Of course.
I was like thinking about like, oh, do I want to keep going into this? Because I had a production office background and it was getting me a lot of places and meeting a lot of people, but it was like severe burnout. And I wanted, basically SaniSet was like a good combination of like regular office job where it's like 40 hours a week, and then industry experience pertains to it because we're going on set all the time, and like we are dealing with like interfacing with production. That's more like a coordinator job, but
still, I mean, we are like, you know, dealing with the point of contact, making sure we're setting up in the right spot, you know, making sure we're in communication, letting them know if someone's positive on set so they can like, you know, decide what to do. And usually they send them home because you don't want someone who's positive running around on set, but but you know.
But yeah, so like I was just at this point where like I was like burnt out. I was like, I'm just gonna take this regular job and see where it gets me. And like the idea was to like in my off time with like more hours open to me, like just pursue my like own goals.
Yeah.
But by the time, like I think it was like the second month, the beginning of my second month when you were hired.
Yeah.
I was just like in the motion of it.
Right.
And then like you show up and you're like, oh yeah, like I do film, I direct, I graduated New York Film Academy, like blah 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 blah. And I was like, what? Oh, what have you shot? Do you have like a portfolio? And you're like, yeah, I do. Sorry.
No, it's an R-rated podcast. We can cuss.
Oh yeah,
we can swear. Yeah.
R-rated.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah, no, you were like, yeah, like I have this short film, Miha, that like, you know, it's won awards and stuff. We did like an awards circuit, and I was like, I like stopped what I was doing. I was like, what? And you're here?
I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, honestly, like I wish you would have seen me like 6.5, 7 months ago, because I feel like I decided to really just make a drastic change in like 7 months ago, because I mean, I had just graduated in the middle of the pandemic, and I was dealing with what everyone else was dealing with, not having a job and not even being able to go outside and get, like, you know how it was. It was really intense for a second.
I can't imagine graduating from school.
Oh, it sucked. Like, you know, I got my Warner Brothers screening taken away. I had no graduation. And
what, you were going to screen something?
I was going to screen Miha at the Warner Brothers theater. But since COVID happened and we weren't allowed to be like in a confined space, you know, in a movie theater, they were like, yeah, that's not happening. And they're like, oh, we'll reschedule. Like, don't worry.
We'll make it
up. They're like, in 3 weeks when COVID is over. And then it's 3 years and I haven't heard back.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was so bummed about that, because I honestly thought I missed out on a very big networking opportunity.
Right.
Because I was like, you know, you don't know who's going to be sitting there in the theater at Warner Brothers. You don't know, like, even if it's just like your coworkers, I mean, not your coworkers, your classmates, you know, like, you know, brother, but he brings a friend that's a producer. You don't know. You know, it could be anybody.
It could be anybody.
It literally could be anyone. Or maybe someone who just works at Warner Brothers happens to be like, you know, sitting there and is like, this is good. You never know. So I was just like, I really missed out. And I was like so sad, because like that's kind of like the hype of the program. Like you're like, you build up to it. You're like, all right, I'm gonna make my graduating film. I'm gonna screen it at Warner Brothers. It's gonna be sick. You know, like that's what I imagined. And then it just got taken away, and I was like, no.
It's funny to me that like you're still imagining it.
No, I honestly picture like I'm like, this is what I think it would have been like.
It's like weirdly haunting.
Well, yeah, and for the longest time I was just like really, really sad about it. But then I was like, I'm not gonna keep being sad about it. Like obviously, there's nothing I can do about it. And but then it was just like a constant like cycle of being sad, because I felt like I wasn't working on enough independent projects to like pay for my living, like rent, like, you know, food, gas, like activities, just things that I like to do. And so I was like, I need a real freaking job. But it was like so hard to find like on set stuff. I was applying to stuff all the time, but I wasn't like getting it. And I was like, what am I missing on my portfolio?
Like applying like on like
like Paramount, like,
but like just on like websites,
like Indies. Yeah, like I was like legit trying to like apply. And it was like nothing. It was so dark. Like I got no response. I was like, this is. I was like literally crying. Like I was like,
I mean, you know now, but like that is just. I like, because I've been there.
Yeah.
And it's just the most like weird thing when you're like, okay, I have this experience. I have this training.
Yeah.
Build up the resume.
Yep.
Send it out to the internet.
Yep.
Like, and then later when you're actually like in it through other whatever means, you're like, oh, that like never works out for people.
And that's what I'm seeing now too. I'm like, okay, I was doing the standard way of like, oh, apply yourself on this website. But then when it wasn't working for me, I was like, you know what? I have to work on my own stuff at the same time. Like while I look for a job, to see like, to just like kind of like get there quicker. I was like, the process that I'm like doing with the applying on Indeed, it's going to take me like freaking 10 years to get to where I need. Yeah. So like, I was like, I love podcast. I love listening to podcasts. I was like, maybe I could do it. And I honestly just had one mic. I did it in my kitchen studio. It was, the first episodes were just like whack because I didn't know what I was doing. Right. But like, it was cool that like,
and now it's like,
and now I'm totally invested in that.
Podcast don't stop.
Right. Now I'm just super invested. I love it. It's so much fun. And like, it's really been helping like my portfolio as well. And then on top of that, I've been like, you know, it's been like inspiring me to work on more stuff because I'm meeting more people and I'm like, oh my God, we can work on this together and that. And I feel I'm learning, like I have a lot more resources than I thought. And then I ended up finding the job at Santa and it ended up like, that really like lit my fire. I was like, okay, now I have something that's paying my bills. Yeah. And the hours were so interesting because, you know, me like 2 years ago would have been like, that waking up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I would have been like,
yeah.
I would have looked the other way.
But like you do it a couple of times and you see that like,
and then you see you have you're on set, you get the experience, but then you also have like half the day still. You're out by like 1 or 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And it's like you still have like 3 hours that you can still work on your own stuff till like 5 or 6 before you like really start to lose energy.
Yeah, legitimately.
And that's kind of how I've been able to keep the podcast going, being able to work on my own stuff, is by having a job like this. So it's like I'm worried about when I transition to my new job.
Yeah.
Am I gonna have hours like that? Like what?
I do want to.
What will be the future of the podcast?
I do want to talk to you about this because, like, I don't know, but my idea is that it's like, you know, you're basically part of. Like once you get assigned to like something. Yeah. Like once you get assigned. I think to a so job, too. Like you're basically 12-hour days, right?
I think so too. Like I think like they're gonna like not to scare me away right away.
No,
they're not like you're gonna get into 12-hour days. No, but I know that like it can vary. Like I know like because they said like they're like this could be a part-time job or a full-time, but I already know this can be an overtime job.
It varies, but basically.
But honestly, like I really don't mind putting in the work if it gets me to where I need it.
Exactly.
Like where you know what I mean? Like I feel like I don't mind working my ass off if I really feel like I'm being appreciated. I'm seeing like, you know, results to it's getting me to where I need to be. And like, I also, you know, enjoy it along the way. Like, I don't want to just like do something and be miserable. Like, and I think that's why I chose film, because I knew deep down, like, I want to like be able to love what I do every single day.
Yeah.
And like, this is all part of it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, like I'll work my ass off now so I can. Well, I still enjoy every part of it too, honestly. No. I mean, there's going to be some, like, there are some days where I'm like, F this, I'm exhausted. It's cold. I don't want to be here. Yes. But, like, deep down, like, I wouldn't trade it for, like, a regular job. Like, to me, it's just, like, the film industry is so exciting to me. I love it.
It's so funny. There's, like, do you watch The Simpsons at all?
Yeah.
There was, like, this Simpsons episode where, like, Bart becomes, like, the assistant for Krusty the Clown. And it's basically, like, a comparison. It's like a direct comparison to working in Hollywood and stuff.
Oh, really?
It's one of my favorite. Like the delivery of the line is so funny. Like Bart walks up to like this grip and he's like, "Wow, you must really love working in show business every day." And he's just like, "I wish I was dead."
I mean, not gonna lie, the hours and then the overtime and then also having to drive far out, like it does add up. But I feel like if you're like doing the position that you actually enjoy and like how do you not kind of like fangirl or like how are you not excited? You're like, I used to dream about this. You know what I mean?
That's and then like okay, like again, this can
ask me in 25 years though. Like I might be like all like
like
burnt out inside.
I wanted to like that's another reason I wanted to do the podcast is I wanted to be like, hey, visible evidence that like we're friends and like
shut up, you're so stupid.
And then, like, when you're, like, on stage accepting your awards, I'll be like, I was there.
I was on episode, like, 59 or 60. I don't know. Whatever episode this will be on.
Whatever.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm like, damn, I feel so, like, so much support from you that I'm like, I can't disappoint now. I have to go full force. Like, I'm like,
no, like,
God.
No, but, like, I'm sorry if that's a lot.
No.
But, no, like,
I love it.
Legit,
it holds me accountable.
No, like one of my favorite things, because like again, going back to that conversation of like our parents not understanding like our desire to be in film, they're worried, and then like they hear it's like cutthroat and all this stuff, and like it is, but like at the same time, I don't think I've ever met someone that isn't like that's like established in the industry that isn't supportive of people. Up and coming. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, that's true. I feel like once you're actually on these sets and you talk to people, they're like pretty welcoming. Yeah. And pretty like it's just like you have to be on the set.
Yeah, like it's getting in
it's like getting your foot on the production.
And then like once you realize what you've been competing against, like in terms of that, you're like, I see why you were so hesitant because some people have like just the weirdest idea.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's man, I could tell you stories about it.
Okay, so let's go back to when
let's get this back on
so track. How did you when did you finally make the move to LA?
Oh, okay, so the school I went to was Azusa Pacific University.
Okay.
You might know it in LA as like the school with like the billboards that say God first. It's a Christian.
Is it really?
Yeah, non-denominational, technically.
Okay.
But, yeah, it was, and like again, because I was so aimless, like that was the school that like my family was fairly religious, like extended family. Yeah. And I was the 8th, I think, maybe like 7th or 8th person in my family to go there, and I
wow,
yeah,
really?
Like, sorry, that's like like
you're just surprising me with all these fucking facts.
A lot of weird like little bits of info.
I feel like the first 2 minutes I was like, wait, what? Like
you're like, I thought I knew you.
Yeah, I was like, wait, because I feel like we talk a lot at work, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, but it's mostly about work, you know.
Yeah, true. I mean, there's so much to talk about.
But yeah, no. Yeah, so like again, I was just kind of on that like aimless, like pushed forward by other people path, including the school I went to. But then, like, and I felt like very isolated because it was like a very religious school, and I had this weird perception of it.
Right.
Then there's that break, and then when I went back, I realized that like, they had a film program that like they were like was like, what's the word? Burgeoning? Is that a word?
Okay, I don't know.
Blossoming.
I like blossoming.
That was like up and coming. Like they were like they had just staffed on like a bunch of people who have like actually worked in the industry and like have experience and like all this.
Yeah.
And then like I just by happenstance like had a few classes with people in the film program who were like the coolest people ever. Like legit, like they were like this is gonna sound messed up. Sorry if this like offends anybody. They're the opposite of what I was anticipating or used to kind of at that school.
Right.
So basically, like they were like an outlet for like all the stuff I felt like I couldn't talk about. I was afraid to talk about, which I probably could have talked about, but whatever. I was a weird kid. So yeah, and like I just met a couple people. I literally like one day like just decided like halfway through my second year was like, okay, I'm gonna go online, change my major right now. And this is gonna sound like very like dumb or whatever, but it's really shaped me like to who I am today. And it's telling of who I was. I wanted to do film BFA production. I select the option to change my major in our school's portal. And it's like, oh, you need like a signed consent by the dean of like whatever program.
Like allowing it.
Yeah, allowing it. And like, again, I was like undeclared. I didn't know any of the teachers. I knew like one. I knew like because he like guest lectured or something. Okay. And but then I see the other option available for BFA is screenwriting, which was like a newer thing. They were just getting that started even more than like the film program. Okay. And I click on that and it's like, okay, your major's changed. And I was like,
it was that easy.
It's so
You're like,
weird.
Okay, anything that involves the dean and but like this.
And you know, like I was just kind of aimless. I was still like trying to figure it all out. Like I didn't know anything about film really and like what went into it. I was just like, okay, well, this is like for sure the storytelling aspect of it and the creative aspect of it, which is what I had been kind of leaning towards anyway.
Wow, that is so cool though. How that happened.
It's so dumb.
It's
so
not.
Dumb,
It's
fun.
So, what were you thinking in that moment? Did you have interest in screenwriting, or was it just like I wanted?
Oh yeah, for sure. So like, you know, I already mentioned The Simpsons, but basically there are like a lot of shows that I just had like this weird level of awareness about like the history of like who wrote them. And like all this stuff. Specifically, like I knew that Conan O'Brien used to write on The Simpsons. And then like growing up, like I had like only season 4 of The Simpsons. So like basically like I knew that he worked on that season and it was like the funniest thing to me. I would rewatch it over and over again. I love it. So I know those episodes like by heart. But like basically he had done this like roundtable talk with like 5 of the other writers in like 2013. And talked about their time on this, like literally they were just reminiscing about the good old, it's like all these white dudes in their like 50s reminiscing about like the good old days where they would show up, be like, and just sit around a table and just joke with each other and make stories. And it just sounded like everything in that moment just kind of clicked when I was watching this video.
I love it.
Was like,
you just need that one moment to like have it click. Yeah, all it takes.
Like, okay, I got to pursue that. And anything, whatever happens to me in the pursuit of that is like, whatever.
Aww.
You know?
I love that.
Yeah. So, basically, like, and so, like, going, like, it was, like, literally, like, 2 or 3 days later when I was, like, production, I should know more technical stuff. Oh, roadblock, screenwriting. So, basically, and then that program was, like, more catered towards the actual, like, craft of the story, like, storytelling and stuff like that. I had, like, intermediate, advanced, like, beginner, intermediate, advanced screenwriting, and then there was like sitcom writing. There was 30-minute sitcom writing. There was like a 60-minute like drama.
That's fun.
Yeah, screenwriting. There was like a fantasy like trope class. There was a sci-fi class. There was like short film class, which that was. Which
one did you feel like you did best in?
Oh, sitcom.
Really?
Sure. Well, okay. If Jim Lincoln, if you're watching. That's just me. That's just my perception of it. He was my teacher.
I love it.
And he basically, like, he was like, okay, I'm gonna like teach you about like the actual, because I want you all to get work doing this,
right?
Or like to know about the work doing this,
right? That's the end goal.
And he was experienced, so he's like, okay, in this sitcom class, the reason we even have this specific class is because when you're being a writer trying to show yourself to people, you want to have a big portfolio or of like work, and B, a diverse portfolio of work, because because like you know, like
I'm like I gotta work on another
no you're good like literally from my perception, like you're doing everything right. But
thank you, I appreciate that, but now I'm like, holy shit, I need a reel, honestly, a director's reel. But please keep like going.
It's the equivalent, you know, like a reel, a portfolio.
Yes,
actors, they use reels.
Yeah, actors reel. Yeah, it's the same shit.
But like, that was the mindset for even having the class, and he was like, okay, because in the industry, a lot of the time, what happens when people are like staffed on or whatever is they get recognition based off of specs. Which, are like when you there's an existing show or property and you just go ahead and write your episode of it. No one's giving you approval. You're just like, I'm going to write an episode of this show. I'm going to try to capture the character's voice to show that I can work with someone else's like image.
Oh, wow.
Idea.
Okay. I like that.
And then you just show it around like as an example of like, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, basically. So, and he was like, okay, but you guys are all going to pick like your favorite show growing up or whatever. I'm restricting you to a live action, like sitcom that that is like less than 2 seasons on the air at that point. And it was like 2014.
Okay.
So, basically everyone was picking like New Girl or Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I love New Girl.
No, I wish I had started at the time.
God.
Because New Girl is like by far one of my favorites.
So funny. Honestly, every character is written so perfect, and like they just have their personality is so unique. I've never seen anything like it. I'm like, oh my god, I'm fascinated.
It's such an amazing show.
Yeah.
But I picked Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Which is also an amazing show, but like they're two different beasts.
Right.
Both on Fox. I guess Fox had a good year.
Fox is killing it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I picked Brooklyn Nine-Nine because I was a big Andy Samberg fan.
Oh, and yes.
And I'd seen the first season. So, like, I'd seen it. I re-binged the first season. And the second season was airing as the class was proceeding.
Okay.
So I, like, week 1, he's like, okay, come up with your ideas for, like, your show. Week 2, he's like, okay, literally, like, tell me, like, which characters are going to, like, figure out your A plot, your B plot.
Yeah.
Figure out which characters are going to be involved in which, who would be an interesting dynamic that you like, you know, you haven't seen interact on the show so much before, like things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's ultimately like, it's still your decision, and I'll just kind of like review each time you turn in a draft. Mm-hmm. So like I do my outline and then the first 10 pages. So like we're on like week 4.
Okay.
And Brooklyn Nine-Nine, for those who don't know, it's like a police comedy.
Our film school made us like do a whole like edit on that too. Like,
really?
Yeah. So no, but keep going.
Yeah. So like, and like, just like in that environment, in that situation, you're trying to figure out like as like a 21-year-old kid, I was like trying to figure out like, okay, what have they done in the first season that I can't touch, and what is still like.
Yeah.
What is still fresh on the playground to like, mess around with.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like I know that like cops have like this system of like internal affairs, where they like figure out which cops are corrupt. In theory, they figure out which cops are corrupt.
Oh, I like
and
that.
They like reprimand them based off of like whatever. And I was like, well, it would be so fun if like not one of the main cast was like a dirty cop, but was like accused of being a dirty cop.
Ooh, okay.
And then, like, in my script, it was, like, it was just, like, an accident or something. I'll have to revisit it. But it was,
you have to send it to me so I can read it.
It was literally, like, just someone, like, one of the, like, goofy characters, like, made, like, a typo on something. And then, like, it led to this whole chain of, like, misunderstandings.
Oh, imagine. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Which can only happen in that environment.
Right.
But, literally, like, I turn in my first 10 pages. And then my professor's, like, first thing that happens when we sit down for class, he's like, all right, so who knows what happened this week? And I was like, oh, did something happen? Like a major event? And he's like,
a major event.
And then like, he's like, basically for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, they released their promo for this week's episode. Do you know what it's about? And he's like looking at me in front of the whole class. And I was like,
did you accidentally guess it?
Yeah, it was like an episode about internal affairs.
No, it wasn't.
The worst part about it was when it came out, like...
What are the odds of that? That's crazy.
No, like, I was devastated in the moment, and I was devastated a little later when it came out and I watched it, because I was like, oh my God, they're doing... It's their show. They're doing it so much better than anything I had written.
No, they stole your idea. They heard it.
He said something that like I still remember. He was like, this sucks, but also this is amazing because it shows that you already have.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. No, you absolutely killed it. It was so fun talking with you. And I hope you come back and maybe we can talk about a story that you wrote.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
That will keep you on your toes, right? You're like, goes home and writes.
Yeah.
You're like, maybe.
It's a story about being a guest on a podcast.
There you go. You already got a person. Now you just need a location, time. You're good to go. Yeah. Well, thank you again so much. And thank you guys. And we'll see you guys next week.